Hi, welcome everyone, and welcome to Abu Dhabi for everyone that's come in today. And for the rest of us, it's nice to see some friends and meet some new people in the space. So today is fireside. So I'm Sonia Gokhale, as mentioned. I'm one of the general partners of Venture Souk. Venture Souk is an early stage VC based here in Abu Dhabi, where we invest specifically in fintech investments out of one fund. So very, very on topic today. And here I have a few of my friends with me, Ahmed and Mahmoud. Welcome to the fireside chat, gentlemen. Can you please maybe give you a bit of background on yourself? We'll start on with Ahmed over there in alphabetical order.
Thank you. Thank you, Sonia. Thank you for the introduction. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Ahmed Ali Alwan. I'm the Deputy CEO of Hub 71. For those of you who are not familiar with Hub 71, we are the tech ecosystem enabler out of Abu Dhabi. Our mission is to grow and support startups to become globally enduring companies out of Abu Dhabi. And we do that through a set of programs and initiatives that support startups throughout their journey, but also forming partnerships that support access to talent, access to capital, and access to market. Historically, I've been, to this day actually, I've been with Mubadala through different hats, and I'm very excited to be speaking alongside my colleagues and friends Mahmoud and Sonia.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me here. Really appreciate it. Thank you, Sonia. Thank you, Ahmed. My name is Mahmoud Adi. I'm a founding partner at Shuruq. We are a multi-stage, multi-platform investment company started here in Abu Dhabi now 7 years ago. And our ambitions are quite, I would say, high. We're trying to revolutionize access to capital and smart investing from early stage all the way to growth stage. And again, be excited to be here to share some of the things that we've been doing at Shuruq.
So the kind of the purpose and the what we're going to be exploring today in this fireside chat is Abu Dhabi's investment strategies and how collaborations take and partnerships take center stage, and especially in our ecosystem, that's really true. And so we'll start with Ahmed here on the focus of our discussion here. So can you share some key insights into the current state of the tech startup ecosystem in Abu Dhabi and how the investment has and its growth evolved in the last recent years?
No, thank you for this. So I'll take you back in time a little when we started Hub 71 in 2019. And some of you might know this, but I actually worked with Mahmoud closely in the start of Hub 71. Mahmoud was actually the first CEO of Hub 71, and I used to look after strategy and operations. And at that point in time, what we actually were focused on, Mahmoud knew a lot more about this than I did at the time, is just educating a lot of the peers, a lot of the network that we have here on what the opportunities are around VC and technology. So immediately it took us a time to ramp up to spread that foresight in terms of technology is important and is here to stay for a long time. And obviously, COVID impacted a lot of people, but it was the main trend of technology adoption. So all of a sudden, everyone realized how important tech was. Today, we are at the reverse of that. In the past 12 months, I would say 18 months, the amount of opportunities internationally that we see coming to Abu Dhabi, wanting to have established a presence and to grow and scale their business out of Abu Dhabi has been tremendous. And this is capitalizing on, yes, I would like to say the great work that Hub 71 was doing in collaborations with our venture capital partners such as Mahmoud today and Sonia, but also underpins how important Abu Dhabi is strategically as a geo-economic hub to access the world. In terms of sectors, they do cut across the board. If I look at the sample I have is from Hub 71, we have more than 20 sectors represented, and we do see a lot of the more novel technology do coming here, getting into more the deep tech side of things. So AI, digital assets have been huge themes over the past 6 months to a year that have been gaining significant wind. Maybe I'll wrap up with this. In June, we had the opportunity to host Sam Altman here, who was doing a roadshow. And we didn't even ask for the opportunity. It came to us because it's identified that Abu Dhabi has been investing a lot in AI and we're ready to capitalize on this opportunity. And hopefully we're going to see a lot more towards that.
Thank you very much. Mahmoud, Abu Dhabi is emphasizing collaboration within its technology ecosystem. How do you see this emphasis on collaboration translating to investment, particularly for founders who fundraise?
So Abu Dhabi has a quite unique position as being kind of really positioned as the capital of capital. And that's usually one side of the equation when we talk about founders and entrepreneurship. The second side of the equation usually is markets, entrepreneurs, founders, talents, and also industry enablers. So one of the collaboration areas that I'm quite fascinated and excited about is the access to the really deep infrastructure that has been built in this country. So I'll give one example. If we look at what G42 has been doing when it comes to cloud computing and advanced computing, and the research that has been done there, and also if you look at some of the Arabic LLM that got developed there, these things did not happen overnight. These actually have been happening over very strategic, very intentional investment that's been happening in this country. So if I'm a founder who have developed, I'll give an example from our portfolio, some of our kind of companies that are in the biotech, they have developed some machine learning algorithm for kind of protein cure sort of kind of calculation and all of that. Right, they are hitting today a ceiling. This company is in Egypt. They are hitting a ceiling on the ability on computing, right? And through the partnership that we have here with the player in Abu Dhabi, we can unlock that, right? And we can provide some facility for them to access and to start quadruple their R&D and test their product. Not only in the biotech, we do have another examples in the oil and gas. We do have companies that are using tremendous amount of computing power for simulation, for the undersurface and stimulation of wells and what have you. And again, at the size of the startup, usually these resources are quite expensive and not available. So really knowing the different institutions that are well established here that can give you that competitive edge as an entrepreneur are quite remarkable. I'll talk about another industry. So in the healthcare, one quite unique position that we have in Abu Dhabi as well is the forward-looking of our Department of Health. Right. So today, if I want to test a new like a sandbox for healthcare, I can argue is actually you can establish quite relatively easier boundaries and easier testing bed for you to test with the new product, right? With the kind of controlled environment before you can go to like a market like the US and a market like Europe, right? And this is something again that entrepreneurs, even if they are building something outside, today they are having challenges with accessing that sort of kind of regulation. You can come here, and if you have the right relationship and the right connections and you can get the right audience, you can really establish an advantage for you that can help you. So we do believe that the best founders are founders not only are able to access the capital, which is quite obvious, but also are able to unlock unique partnership for them to have access to kind of competitive advantage that not available in other places.
Yeah, absolutely. Ahmed, from the perspective of a fast-growing tech startup ecosystem, how critical are collaborations with other businesses, investors, and industries for fostering innovation and growth?
They are, of course, critical for any business to succeed. I'll highlight maybe an advantage that we have in Abu Dhabi and the United Arab Emirates that doesn't exist elsewhere or other jurisdictions. We have here what I would call regulatory agility in the sense that we can provide nimble access, constructive feedback from our founder, from our partner community into the government. And when we talk about what we anchor our partnerships with are beyond the different value accretive activities that we would have together, from events to engagements to identifying opportunities, but also giving them their opportunities to grow this ecosystem alongside us. And we've seen this module has been tremendous. We are set up here in the ADGM, the Abu Dhabi Global Market. They work with us on a couple of our key ecosystem initiatives, such as what we're doing around digital assets, making sure the partners have a voice to be heard, that we're able to channel to a progressive regulator such as the ADGM, and ultimately, if needed, through the Department of Economic Development. Not only its relationships, but also how the leadership structure works. So our chairman, His Excellency Ahmed Zaabi, is also the chairman of the ADGM and also the chairman of the DED. We have to be constructive. We have to use the time with our leadership in the optimal way. But if we are able to present, value-adding solutions, they get heard relatively quickly and they get addressed relatively quickly. And obviously, this underpins a lot of the partnerships we have. It makes us more of an attractive destination to come and collaborate with.
I think, yeah, that's a very good point. I think the government support that companies get here that is very different than in other ecosystems is a really good one to note, and especially through Hub 71, where they can help them navigate this system, and even regulators as well, which a lot of other ecosystems just don't have that support for startups. So it's a bit hard to grow, which is very unique here. Okay, if we look at Abu Dhabi's capital ecosystem, Mahmoud, what specific gaps do you identify in the current capital ecosystem in Abu Dhabi that need urgent attention to foster the growth of tech startups?
Well, as an investor, I would say we always welcome more capital. If you give me an open-ended question like this, I would say we need more across all the value chain. But to be more specific and more precise, and this is not specific to Abu Dhabi, I would say for the entire region, early stage, and when we talk about early stage, kind of seed stage, usually is an area that's quite missing. I would say kind of as a barbell. So in the early stage and the kind of growth stage. I do kind of want to emphasize that each one of us has a play to kind of, or a role to kind of fill in the gap. You have, of course, the institution. When we talk about kind of us as a venture capital, we talk about angel investors, we talk about families, we talk about family and friends. We need more participation from all of those people, and usually it starts with a culture of risk taking and a culture of, look, we are excited about like funding the next new big thing. Right now, the challenge is the next big thing does not happen tomorrow. The next big thing does take a lot of time and effort, right? And in my humble view is to kind of see the full cycle roll over, and you have a kind of flywheel effect. Is you need the end of the cycle to actually convert. The end of the cycle for us is an IPO, right, or a significant M&A. Usually I always, whenever I engage with the leaders, like in Abu Dhabi, in the country or in the region, I always try to kind of position a role for the larger stakeholders to play a role at kind of really tipping the market. And I think we have enough volume that has been created over the past 10 years. And there are a few nice opportunities out there that are waiting for being harvested and looking for someone to tip them. So that's an area and an opportunity where kind of Abu Dhabi ecosystem can really come in together and play a leadership role in tipping off the market and create that success stories. The moment that you do that, I do believe that actually the private sector and the market participant, being again family offices, angel, high net worth individual, will actually fuel more growth from the bottom up. So that cycle, once it's created, it's become really powerful and very hard to stop, I would say. That's what essentially have created the valley. And if we take a step back and just think about what happened in the valley was created at the back of a significant overinvestment in this defense industry that created significant supply in the semiconductor, right? And until that moment, that then you have entrepreneurs who leverage that, created companies, market tipped with M&As and IPOs, then ended up with a dot-com bubble. Which if the history were to stop there, we would look back and say like, look, that's terrible. But actually, history never stopped at one point in time. History continued to be built and continue to be written. And now, if I look at the sort of kind of market capitalization of companies, I don't even notice when was the dot-com bubble. So bringing this back to us and to Abu Dhabi and to Shuruq, we continue to be extremely bullish and excited that tipping is about to happen, and we want to be a player in that, and we are actively engaging and supporting different market participants on that.
And I'll just build on this because it's a very important topic that both Mahmoud and I are passionate about, which is really activating the capital ecosystem here, because we see the same gaps across the journey. Abu Dhabi has $1.3 trillion of AUM wealth, of sovereign wealth, just sitting out of here, but predominantly being sovereign wealth, it's invested internationally. Today, we see more of as good of an opportunity as ever to deploy a sliver of that into the region. And Mahmoud, like me, has been knocking on all doors, making sure that the opportunity here is taken as seriously, if not more seriously, compared to the rest of the world. I do agree with Mahmoud that you do feel it's almost there. It's just once it happens, it's gonna hopefully just keep skyrocketing from there. The beauty of what Abu Dhabi had is actually all the infrastructure exists from the capital markets, the exchange, the setup, the legal support, the governance mechanism, the safety of your assets. A lot of critical things to make a strong capital ecosystem thrive are seamless here. For us, our role is to make sure there's enough value, there's a lot of enough volume and more validation of this existing structure out of Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And also, particularly on the early stage, like the angels, and the later stage. So now, even later stage, we're relying a lot on foreign capital to come in to lead these rounds for us, especially including like Tavi just closed a large round with Wellington as the lead, and that was foreign capital coming in. So it would be nice to see, that being that internally.
We got to onshore the capital.
Yeah, definitely. Ahmed, how do you envision creating opportunities for both VCs and corporates to actively support and contribute to the growth of startups in Abu Dhabi?
So for us, it's if I go back, and I think one of the things that I love about Hub 71 and what we've built is we've underpinned it by a community. Ultimately, we've really focused on the first instance of Hub 71 on the entrepreneurship journey, and this is something that Mahmoud and I used to workshop with the team together, is really how to make this space appealing for founders. The first contract actually we had is like, well, Abu Dhabi is great, a bit too expensive maybe for some founders. Let's create an in-kind incentive program where we're retaining value for Abu Dhabi at the same time alleviating some of the elements of the cost structure for founders and for the companies. So they set up. What naturally happened is a community formed because all of these companies now are in this together. They're talking to each other. They're going through the same challenges and they're building it out. So creating that critical mass around entrepreneurship, and that's what Hub 71 is. It is first and foremost a community centered on what entrepreneurs are trying to achieve. We continue to do this. We see our community thriving to this day. Thankfully, we do hear and see a lot of positive feedback around the community that has been built out Hub 71. But now that we've focused on the entrepreneurship journey, not that we're taking anything away from that, it's time to focus on the technology journey. We've had a value proposition that focused on entrepreneurs. Now it's a value proposition that would focus on technology. I mentioned AI, I mentioned digital assets, all spaces and future work, so SaaS solutions, enterprise solutions, or verticals that we are well positioned to capitalize on. And this is what we would like to embark on to create environments and opportunities from funds to entrepreneurs or to startups that would be attractive for anyone to invest in.
Thank you. Okay, Mahmoud. Okay, to conclude, for both of you, what are the most exciting opportunities in Abu Dhabi's tech startup ecosystem and the investment landscape in the coming years?
Venture Souq and Shuruq Capital.
Thank you.
That's the paid promo.
We appreciate appreciate
Yeah.
that. Mahmoud, would you like to start?
Well, I would start with Hub 71 is a great place, of course, to start. And of course, there is a lot of kind of personal relationship here and love and affinity for the space. But on a more kind of serious note, like in my view, there is always like no better time than today to build great companies. And when markets scale back, real entrepreneurs scale up, right? It is noise is not there. Believers and visionaries kind of focus their brain and their mindsets on solving big problems. And Abu Dhabi is like has a great platform for you not to solve for only the city or the country, but for the region and beyond. And I think that's what I'd like to invite everyone to think about, whether it is an AI or a healthcare or in deep tech or traditional fintech. All of those businesses are great. For me, it is really about what's your passion, where do you see a dislocation, right? And the uncertainty that we're going, that's happening right now, does create a lot of dislocation on a human capital, dislocation on market, dislocation on a lot of things. And the entrepreneurs are the people who can seize those opportunities and really put their heads down and build. So no better time than building. There is no perfect time. You just need to start and just let it go.
I would say I agree with what Mahmoud said, and it's difficult for me to kind of double down or say that there's one sector or one theme that's important. I again mentioned AI and digital assets which are prominent, but we do our startups are represent 20 more than 20 sectors, so we're pretty cutting across. There are 6 sectors that we focus on in terms of fintech, health tech, edutech, mobility, logistics, and travel, food tech, and climate tech, this being the year of sustainability, obviously, in the UAE. But these are pretty encompassing. Maybe it's by nurture, going through Hub 71, but we tend to be more people focused. We tend to focus on the ability of entrepreneurs to be able to grow, drive the business, and be able to effectively hustle at an age to take their business to the next level. Because I say this all the time, we do not help startups. We give startups the opportunity to help themselves. We're going to bring to you opportunities with the leadership, with the corporates, but we're not going to be there telling anyone to do X, Y, and Z for the company per se. What we want you to do is to make the most of these opportunities, but because there are very few places out there that will give you these opportunities.
Thank you, gentlemen. I think we have time for a couple questions. So if there's any questions from the audience. I don't think so. Okay, great. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. And thank you for your insights. And we hope you all have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.